All right, so we're back,
Hey,
and here's Angela with a very stylish shirt.
you like my tops, huh?
Yeah, yeah,
It's very on purpose.
very on purpose.
I think I was just trying to stay on theme with the trend of the holiday season. I did like a holiday glam table a while back and I put it out on social media so everybody could see it. It's called Holiday Glam, I believe. So you can look it up on the Facebook page. But I was doing like a lot of coppers and golds and silvers and bronzes, and so I just kind of carried it out for the holiday.
Now that's really interesting. So you're almost hinting at a relationship between your personal style and how you dress, which I'm sure people would agree amplifies like what you're feeling and who you are deep down. You're saying there's a relationship between how you dress and your interior design and your space.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, for real, yes.
Could you talk to us a little bit about what that is?
Well, as a young designer, I used to ask clients because I see their closets. And it was very helpful in helping me like find out who they were as people. But I graduated from that, and every now and then I get like a really tough client who's not giving me the feedback that I need from him or her, and I'll ask, look, can I just see your closet? And they're usually go, yeah, sure. Yeah. Apparel fashion imitates home fashion, and home fashion imitates apparel fashion. They're really one and the same thing, except one's dedicated towards the house and the other towards what we put on our bodies. But it's all about living with colors, textiles, and texture. It's all really the same thing. It's design.
So then that would make sense why they love what you create because you're showing them their reflection.
Yes. Essentially, yes. You mirror back to them what they already like.
Wow, okay.
Yes.
So that speaks a little bit to their joy that they get at the end. But what are some of the frustrations that your clients have shared with you or you've picked up on in the past?
I think most people, even though they don't quite phrase it this way, the thing that they are really frustrated by is trying to make the function and the aesthetic balance each other. The yin and the yang of that is what most people are looking for. So I found that what makes my clients the happiest is when they are able to get both a space that wows them, is beautiful to them to look at and entertain in and have family and friends over, but when that space also works and functions for them. So when there's a place for things to belong, so they don't have to get rid of what they like in order to have a clean, uncluttered environment, but just to bring some clarity to that space and then decide like what activities and events are going to happen in a space while it's beautiful. That tends to be the thing that most people are looking for, and they don't always realize that.
Wow. So a little bit earlier we talked about the style and the relationship to their clothing and what they like to see aesthetically.
Yeah.
How do you figure out their needs from a practical and functional standpoint?
I get to know their family. I ask a ton of questions. We walk around and I just engage them in conversation. And sometimes they don't realize that I'm actually interviewing them because they don't see me pull out paper and pencil and start taking notes. But I don't have a great memory at a lot of things, but when I'm talking to clients and getting to know who they are, I record it and I store it away for future use.
Oh, I see. So from what you're telling me, there's a critical point where functionality meets beauty. At what point in your design process does this all come together?
I think they're really kind of happening simultaneously. Yeah, because in order to get balance, I have to kind of, if I have to meet a certain demand for say someone has some kind of disability, that I need to have a particular thing present for that person to exist in this space. So my next thought is, how do I aesthetically make that better? And for every function that's that's how I answer it. So I need this for function. How do I make this space function for this, but yet is attractive looking? And how do you keep the balance of what space is intended to be in the lives of people?
I see.
Mhm.
So let's just say that there's a client, let's call him Joe.
Joe,
Yes.
okay.
And I guess he's living in a space he's not happy with. He's bringing in a lot of clients for his business. He's in a good space professionally, but he's under a lot of stress just because of his space. And he's got a wife, he's got some kids. What would happen if he doesn't take his space and make it work better for him? They're not sure how an interior designer can take their lives to the next level. Can you speak to the psychology and the physiology of interior design and how that can improve them holistically?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question. Okay, so let me start by saying this. Like when I was a young babe designer, naturally certain aspects about designing for people holistically, I always called it, were just came to me. They were I'm a sensitive person. Just because I've always been pretty sensitive to the needs and emotions of people around me. So I've always designed kind of with that in mind, in the back of my mind, just wanting to know who are these people, what are their life struggles and challenges, and how can I use what I do to help make that better? How can I lessen the outside forces once they come home? So through interior design, there are practical steps that we can take if we're trained in that area to alleviate some of that the negativity of the outside forces that come in. So, but we want to be very intentional about it, and in order for it to work, a client has to know that that is what the attempt is, and be in on the plan from the very beginning. And sometimes I can sneak a few things in there, and people will say, "Well, how did you know that?" And some of it's just personality, like being able to read personalities and what clients are, the vibes they're giving off is one way of doing that. But in my practice now, a lot of people, I'm known for being an evidence-based designer, and I've renamed it Clarity, Balance, and Beauty for my practice. But people do appreciate that, and they realize the value of it, and they often comment to me later that we no longer have these issues because we were able to address it in our interior design. Either rather that be through having a positive artwork around them, and a lot of times it's just taking out things that they hate. Starting there, taking out things that they just don't like, and bringing in things that counteract negative chatter in their minds. It's a good place to start.
Okay, so you talk a little bit about negative chatter and how that's one of the negative effects that will happen if they don't take action and optimize their space right now. Can you think of any others that have plagued people that you know or that you've seen since you've been practicing?
Well, I'll speak personally. I'll speak about myself. So, and I've known this, and I'm a designer, and I think, I know how homes are supposed to be and how they're supposed to function. But there came a point when I sold my house and moved to a whole new place, and I didn't take any of my belongings with me. It all stayed with the house. And so when I got to a new place and I didn't have any of the things that I was accustomed to having around me, I had my house exactly like I wanted it. It was not necessarily because it was beautiful, but because it suited my personality. It nurtured and fed me every day. So when I came in, I was happy to be home. The things that I put around me made me have joy. They were things that brought me joy. They were things that were meaningful to me. And not everything was a valuable thing, but it was something that had some significance in my life. And when I moved, and either I left those things with the new homeowner, or I packed it away because it didn't fit into the new house yet. It was like a temporary housing, and I was just very depressed to be there. I was, I mean, frankly, I was just very depressed to be there, and it took me some time to realize kind of what my deal was, what was causing me to have this angst, and then I realized I'm like, there is nothing in here that I like anymore. This place is bare. There is absolutely no color on the wall, which I feed off of color, and it just made me feel like I just got to get out of here. And sometimes I think people don't know it, but when they can't stay still and they come home and they've got to go out and be out someplace, it's because their space is not nurturing them.
Wow. I never thought about it like that before. So you want to spend more time in your space the more it nurtures you.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I once had a client jokingly say, I hope she was joking. She once said, I don't want to go to work since I got my house done. She's like, this is deadly. I don't want to go to work. I just want to stay home and enjoy my house. That's what I want everybody to say. Still go to work though, people. Go to work. But I want you to be like, I cannot wait to get home and just relax. Kick off my slippers, my shoes, and relax and enjoy my day, my evening, my weekend.
Right, absolutely. And that's like the happy ending. But like a lot of people, they really have problems starting the interior design project and doing the work that it takes to have that sustained happiness that they'll experience at the end. What would you tell someone who's just starting a home realization and dealing with the frustrations of that process?
I think the best way to get that outcome is to start from the beginning, be intentional about it. And even if you can't have somebody walk you through the entire process of renovating, building, designing, at least get some good advice on the upside of things so that you know where you ought to be going. And that way you'll know when you run into a roadblock rather than just doing it the wrong way. And I have a lot of contractor friends. I love contractors who are not designers. But sometimes they don't think about the end process of what it's going to be like to live in space. And designers' jobs are more to envision what lifestyle for clients will be like in a space. So therefore, we're kind of on paper navigating your space so that we know what it's going to be like for you on a daily basis in that space. That's my process. My process is I look at a blueprint, I can help the architect come up with the right floor plan for my clients. I can say, okay, well, this window is better suited over here. It's better suited being a larger window or better suited being a smaller window because they have 6-year-olds that live in this room, and as soon as the sun comes up on a Saturday, the 6-year-old wants to get up when mom and dad could really use that extra 30 minutes or an hour of sleep. So we want to address things like that. We want to look at whether or not a master bedroom on the main level or not. We want to look at how long before these people retire and do they want to be on the main level or not. And how do we want to have a shower pan or do we want to have a flat floor that you could possibly become ADA compliant, which means like a wheelchair accessible at some point. So those are all the things that a great designer is going to have a keen eye for as she looks at a plan and helping you develop your home.
In what spaces do people have more freedom to take risks and embellish a little bit more with accents and personal touches?
I think you work those in wherever you feel like it. You want to have some, I guess, parameters, but when your home is really about you and how you feel about those things, and then making sure I'm not saying that everything fits everywhere because that's not true, but it depends on at what point you're introducing them. So if I have a client and they want, when I first meet them, they say, now I know this is an unusual piece, but it was given to me by this person, or I acquired it on a trip someplace. My husband and I got it on our honeymoon or whatever. Then that becomes a part of my planning, my process. If I know I need to have this be someplace in this home, if they give me parameters, I want it in the family room, or I want it in the hallway or foyer or whatever, then I make it a part of my plan. Sometimes when you're already done with the room and it's already laid out, that can be really hard to go back and say, now I'm going to add this and add that to it because I like these things. When you really should have thought about those things on the front side of those.
Can you describe the transformation that takes place in the lives of your clients? Is there any similarities? Like, what does that look and feel like?
Well, I think it's similar. I mean, for me, it's similar in that I'm always the best part of me is seeing them get a space that helps them be their best selves. I once had a client say to me that what I had done for them helped them to be their best family, and that was like the biggest compliment I could ever get because I hadn't thought of it that way before. And ever since she said that, I now have adopted that as a part of my vocabulary. It's like I help people become their best family or their best selves inside the space.